mineral and power resources. Well, we have already started with the conventional sources of energy in our previous class. Today we'll be talking about the oil and natural gas. Well, the first exploration for petroleum was undertaken in 1866 in Upper Assam, just 7 years after the discovery of petroleum in Pennsylvania in the USA. Oil was discovered in 1890 in Digboy area. Assam was the only producer of petroleum in India till 1959, when Khambat oil fields was discovered in 1958 and the first well was drilled in Ankleshwar in 1960. First offshore drilling was started in 1970 at Alia Bet in Gujarat. Later, the Bombay High was discovered in 1975 and production from this area started in 1976. As a result of these efforts, production of petroleum in the country increased rapidly. Next, distribution of oil fields. At present, commercial exploration of oil is being carried out in 4 regions. Firstly, the northeastern region. The well-known oil fields of this region are Digboy, Nahar Katia, Moran, Rudrasagar, Galiki and Hugrijan. Digboy is the oldest oil field of India where production was started in 1866 and it still continues to yield sufficient quantity of petroleum. In Tirap district of Arunachal Pradesh, there is Nigru oil field. In the nearby Nagaland, oil fields are at Borhola, close to Nagaland-Assam border. Number 2, the Rajasthan region. One of the largest inland oil discoveries was made in Barmer district in 2004. The oil block covers an area of nearly 5,000 square kilometer. Along with discoveries of Saraswati, Rajeswari and Mangala oil field, Rajasthan has become a major oil producing state in India. Number 3, the Gujarat region. Important oil fields of this region are Ankleshwar, Kalol, Nawagam, Kosamba, Kathana, Barkol, Mehsana, Sanand and Lunij. Oil has also been found on the Aliabet Island, situated 45 km west of Bhavnagar in Saurashtra. Number 4, Mumbai High, located in the Arabian Sea, 176 km northwest of Mumbai. It is an offshore oil field. At present, it is the most important oil field in the country. The oil and natural gas are brought through submarine pipelines. Another oil field basin has been discovered south of Mumbai High. The deposits of this area are considered to be richer than those of the Mumbai High. Number 5, East Coastal Region. It extends over the Krishna, Godavari and Kaveri Basin. In the offshore area of the Kaveri Basin, important oil fields are Narimanan and Kobilapal. In 1998-99, about 451,000 tons of crude petroleum was brought from this basin. Oil fields have been discovered recently in the Krishna Godavari basin of Andhra Pradesh. Moving on, let us now talk about natural gas. Natural gas has emerged as an important source of commercial energy in view of large reserves that has been established in the country, particularly in South Basin of West Coast of India. Natural gas is obtained from Kaveri offshore, Nada in Kambe Basin and Tanod in Jaisalmer district in Rajasthan. Another noteworthy feature was commencement of production from South Basin gas field since September 1988. During 1989-90, oil and gas structures had been discovered in Adiyakamangalam in Tamil Nadu, Andada in Gujarat, Kobaghat in Assam, Lingala in Andhra Pradesh, Mumbai offshore and Kutch offshores. Gas Authority of India Limited was incorporated in 1984 for processing, transporting, distributing, and marketing of natural gas. Next, power generation in India. Power is an essential input for economic development and improving the quality of life. It is available in a variety of forms in India, such as coal, petroleum, natural gas, known as fossil fuels, and electricity, called conventional sources of energy. Besides, non conventional sources of energy, such as solar, winds, and bioenergy, are also being developed. These are renewable sources of energy because they do not exhaust, and perennial supply of energy can be maintained from them. Contrary to them, conventional sources are exhaustible and do not renew naturally. Non-commercial fuels like fuel wood, animal waste, and agricultural residues meet the bulk of energy requirement in the rural areas. With the rising standard of living and mechanization of agriculture, use of conventional sources of energy has increased in rural areas also. History of power generation in India commenced at the end of the 19th century with the commissioning of electricity supply in Darjeeling in 1897. Before independence, power supply was in private sector and was limited to urban centers. After independence, state electricity boards were formed during 5-year plans, which made efforts for systematic growth of power industry all over the country. A number of organizations have been constituted to look after the construction and operation of generation and transmission of power in the country. Next, let us talk about the thermal power. Thermal power is the major source of energy in which coal, diesel, and natural gas are used for generation of electricity. Share of thermal electricity increased very rapidly after creation of the National Thermal Power Corporation in 1975. Now about 80% electricity is thermal. Next, hydroelectric power. Development of hydroelectric power started in the last decade of the 19th century with the establishment of a hydroelectric plant for supplying electricity to Darjeeling in 1897. In 1902, another hydropower plant was erected at Sivasamundram waterfall on Kaveri River in Karnataka. Later, a few plants were erected in the Western Ghats to meet the requirements of Mumbai. Hydropower plants were also commissioned in Uttar Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh in the north, and Tamil Nadu and Karnataka in the south in 1930s. Next, let us talk about the favorable conditions for the development of HEP in India. Firstly, there should be perennial flow of large volume of water. Number 2, the water should fall from a sufficient height. This height may be in the form of a natural waterfall or a fall obtained by constructing a dam across the river. It may also be obtained by diverting the water from one river basin to another. Number 3, a readily available market is an essential requirement for generating HEP as electricity cannot be stored. Fourthly, the generation of HEP requires huge capital investment as it is capital intensive activity. The rivers originating from the northern mountainous region are the most important ones in this respect. They have their sources in glaciers and snowfields. Therefore, they are perennial and their flow of water is regular throughout the year. Velocity of flow is high because of dissected terrain and the competition for use of water for other purposes is low. Whereas the rivers of peninsular India are comparatively poor in this respect, they depend entirely on the rainfall for their flow and therefore their flow is very erratic. Exceptionally high flow during the monsoon period, followed by a long period of lean flow. Next, nuclear power. Nuclear power program was initiated in the fifth decade of the last century, and an apex body for decision making regarding atomic program, the Tata Atomic Energy Commission, was incorporated in August 1948. But progress in this direction could be made only after the establishment of the Atomic Energy Institute at Trombay in 1954, which was renamed as the Bhabha Atomic Research Center in 1967. Next, the three types of regions identified on the basis of sources of electricity are: firstly, hydroelectricity dominated region. It extends over Karnataka, Kerala, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, Meghalaya, Nagaland, Tripura, and Sikkim. These are far away from the coal fields but have optimum conditions for the development of hydroelectricity. Next, thermal power dominated region. It encompasses Delhi, Haryana, Punjab, Assam, West Bengal, Bihar, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, and Maharashtra. Majority of these states have reserves of coal which are utilized for power generation. Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, and Punjab do not have coal reserves but have direct access to coal fields by railway lines. However, they are diversifying their sources of power. Next, nuclear power dominated region. It is Rajasthan, where about 54% of total commercial energy is nuclear, 33% thermal, and 13% hydroelectricity. Next, let us talk about the non-conventional sources of energy. Well, the exhaustible sources will not last long. Therefore, efforts are being made to obtain energy from these inexhaustible sources such as sunlight, wind, tidal waves, and geothermal energy. Biogas is another renewable source. Firstly, let us talk about the solar energy. Being a tropical country, India is lucky to receive abundant sunlight in all parts except in the northern hilly regions. Solar energy can be used for cooking, water heating, space heating, etc. Next, geothermal energy. Development activities relating to coal storage unit and 5 kilowatt power plant, both based on geothermal energy at Manikaran, Himachal Pradesh, are in full progress. Next, wind energy. Wind energy is being harnessed in Tamil Nadu, Odisha, Gujarat, and Maharashtra. India has wind potential of 45,000 megawatt. Efforts are being made to develop wind generators, windmills, and battery charging systems. Next, biogas. Biogas is the most important component of renewable energy in rural areas. As a byproduct, biogas plant produces enriched fertilizers. The use of biogas improves sanitation and provides smokeless and efficient cooking fuel. It can also be used for lighting and power generation. Well, the main problem in using renewable energy resources is their high initial cost, which a country like India can hardly afford. There are certain social and cultural inhibitions also in adopting a different type of energy source. The rural people still cannot think of using biogas from the human excreta linked biogas plants. If this biogas is acceptable, villages will be clean, sanitation will improve, problem of scavengers will be solved, and thus the quality of the environment will be upgraded.